Hey everyone, it's Andrew Maximov here, the CEO of Payload, a software that lets you manage your space missions in the online software without leaving your office. And today I wanted to talk about the parallels that we see between the early days of IT industry and the current state of the space industry. So let me tell you a story. I grew up in Moscow, Russia, in the family of physicists, and I was lucky enough to have our own family personal computer when I was at the age of 5, and we even had a really reliable and stable dial-up connection at home. So then next thing forward, in the end of the 90s, my father started to do business between the United States and Russia. And he had a good thriving business in IT, in the high-tech sector in Russia. And we saw that in the United States, there was this huge opportunity of creating new sales channel and marketing channel online with this dynamic websites that did have some product catalogs and cards and everything. So we started to work in this idea together as a family, trying to help my dad to bring part of his business online. And I remember that back in like beginning of 2000s and the end of 90s, the reality was that for you to get to that moment where you have this website that generates new sales for you and new visibility for your products, you had to almost have personal connections with the people at your local internet service provider. Then you would need to convince them to lay the cables to your office building. Then you would find a vendor to ship you the server to install it in your office, and you have to have the qualified engineers to lay the cables for the local area network inside your office, connect to the hardware, install the server software on a server. Then you would program the web server. Then you would have someone to who knows how to code in PHP, install the software, then the designer, then the copywriting, then to do the search engine optimization, and then maybe you'll get to the point where you'll get some new customers or visibility from your website. Or you'll just end up, as many of us did, surviving through this, help other organizations bring their businesses online. So what I'm trying to say here is that the supply chain for a commodity thing that we see today, the website, was really cumbersome and huge. You had to be knowledgeable of the technology and how the information flows and how to connect your server to the global network, etc. So back to today, what we experience in the space industry is that we know that a lot of agricultural businesses, mining companies, automotive conglomerates, they already see value from having the satellites in orbit doing the imagery or connectivity or both IoT and real-time communications, right? But the reality is that once they try to leverage that technology, leverage that proved applications there, they either go to the startups, which are doing great work, but in most of the cases that we see, there's no match. Like the frequency would not match, the revisit rate, the angle, the images, or something. In the best case, the company would look at the beautiful infrared or synthetic aperture radar imagery, and it would not make a lot of sense. So that connection to the value is not yet there. So we say, okay, we have enough cash, like I'm Apple, I have 200 billion of cash in my bank account. I would go and look into building my own constellation. And once they go there, they understand that there's no that aha moment. It's still rocket science. It's still like orbital dynamics and everything. So you cannot just go and connect all the dots in supply chain and launch it, right? It's still very complex. So we're not still there. But when we analyze what's going on in the industry and what needs to happen on the infrastructure level for the industry to allow corporates and enterprises, even SMEs, to leverage the satellite technology on their own, I think if you dissect this problem, really, if the IT, you had the server level, the hardware, the connectivity to the global network, and then the coding, and then the designing of the actual website. If you draw the parallel to the space industry, what you have here is you have to build the actual hardware, the satellite with the payloads, right, with the camera or the antenna. You have to launch it to space to insert it into the right orbit, and then you have to download the data and then process it to extract value, right? And it's still very expensive. The supply chain is extremely cumbersome, right? But if you look at the base level infrastructure, what's going on here is that in the next, I would say, 5 years, what's going to happen is you take launch, right? With the introduction of New Glenn from Blue Origin and Starship from SpaceX alone, the cost of launching the satellites or the 1 kilogram of mass will go below $100 per kilogram, right? That's reality that we're going to face in the next 5 years. On the ground segment level, meaning the second piece of accessing your information and downloading the data, be it again for comms or imagery, Amazon is putting that infrastructure for us. So today you can log into your Amazon Web Services console and already see that product live in a test phase. There are not many ground stations there, but it's there. So it will be as easy as connecting your existing middleware application in Amazon infrastructure to your satellite with just a click on a button, right? And of course, with hardware, this trend of mass production of satellites, be it not only CubeSats, but really small satellites in the range of 150 to 250 kilograms per bus per satellite, these three things provides the enough disruption for the infrastructure for it to become really affordable for small and medium enterprise. So we foresee the reality where in a 5-year time, it would become really affordable for any organization to start putting their own space infrastructure for the benefit of their business and not competitors' business for their business alone, using the satellites that they're going to be launching themselves. And I think that will be the aha moment for the global terrestrial industry to understand how to leverage the space domain once they can afford putting their own satellites to space on their own expense from their own P&L.